Do you ever wonder what you can do with all the paint that's left on your palette that's dried up? If you're using a peel-off palette or a piece of heavy plastic or a silicone mat, you can peel that up, and it's called a paint skin. This is when you're using acrylic paint and you end up getting this nice skin of paint colors. So this is from the bottom, and it's nice and smooth. The top comes up a little bit more textured. I often find that the underside is more interesting. So this is very plastic-like, and it is just a paint film. So I'm going to use it as collage. And I've been saving my skins, and every so often I do use bits and pieces in a painting. But today what I thought I would try is to make a whole painting, or the majority of a painting at least, out of paint skins. So aside from saving the paint skins from your palette, you can also intentionally make paint skins. And there's many different ways of doing that with different results. So I'll share that with you in another video. So because I've been saving so many of these, I thought it's time to start using them or throwing them out. And yeah, today's the day. So if we haven't met before, I'm Pat from Scrivener Art and Design in Parksville, British Columbia on beautiful Vancouver Island. I love helping you along your creative journey, and it's something I'm very passionate about. I'd also like to take a moment to thank those of you who have contributed to my Buy Me a Coffee account. It really helps. I so appreciate it. Okay, let's get on to the video and see what I can do with these paint skins. These are 6x6 pieces of paper, and I'm just going to use some tape rolled up here to put them down. I'm going to work on two at once because I prefer doing that. 2 or 3, but just to keep this in the view of the camera. The first thing I'm going to do is just coat these with a background color. So this is orange fluid paint. And I haven't taped the edges of these at all because I want to take it right to the edge in the event that I do want to mount this on a cradled panel. Now I could have done them different colors, but just for the sake of not putting out a ton of paint, I'm just going to keep with the orange here. So using this color shaper tool, it's like using a scraper catalyst wedge. You can really push it in and get it on pretty thin and even. So if you're using a heavy body paint for this, you can add some medium or some water. Otherwise, it's going to take a long time to dry, and this is just a background layer to kind of hinge everything together. So I want it really thin so it dries quickly. So today I'm going to be collaging with some acrylic skins. So the acrylic skins are pulled off my paint pellet or a piece of silicone, but you can intentionally make them as well, as long as you do them on some kind of plastic that is removable. I store them in plastic sleeve protectors, so they're very random when you do them this way, but you need to store them between plastic or wax paper so that they don't end up sticking together, because acrylic is like glue. So this particular one here is one that I made specifically, but the rest that you're seeing, for the most part, that one also is a piece of lace embedded between the gel or pouring medium, but the rest are just very random bits that I pulled off. So my idea is that I'm going to use them as collage material now and make some collaged acrylic paintings. So some of them are very thin, which is nice. They're harder to pull off when they're thin, and these don't necessarily rip well. The back is often more interesting, I find, than the front because it's got layers of the underside of the paint on it. So I often like that better. So you don't get so many torn edges like you might with paper, but it gives you a way of using up some of your leftover paints that might otherwise, well, they would otherwise just go in the garbage. So I'm gonna make a few shapes here. This one is kind of interesting. So I'm also looking for contrast. Not liking that. So you can cut, cut shapes out, strips out, whatever. But the ripping is harder. So let me get enough pieces here to work with. And that's sticking together. So some of these pieces are super thick and textured as well, depending on how much paint was left sitting on the palette. So I definitely want blue in here, and there's a good piece in there. So that's quite lumpy up here to glue on. If I use it upside down, so I'm just going to cut that. So I'm finding that quite interesting, and it has some breakthroughs in it which allows the underpainting to show through. So I think I will go ahead and glue that down. And I'm hoping just a regular fluid medium is going to work here. And on this one, I'll glue this piece down. So it's kind of similar to working with paper collage, but it feels very different just because it is paint pieces, and you have to be cautious that that you don't pile them up and they end up sticking together. So just to be aware of that. So if it's thin enough, you can kind of break it off or rip it. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe we'll go with this side, the original side. I'll put that over top of that cut edge. So I've saved so many of these and I have a drawer overflowing, so I thought I should either use them or throw them out. So here's to at least using some of them. I think I like this side better. Actually, that's sitting on top. So just like paper, we can glue over top. I'm just using my finger to make sure that it gets good adhesion, but you could also use, oh, that wasn't even the piece. You could also use a wedge or a credit card to smooth it down too. Okay, this does need some dark values in it. Pop this on here. Spooky looking. That looks like eyes. To rip one of those holes out. So again, I want to add some dark value in here. See what else we can find. This green kind of popped out at me. Do I want some green? Maybe not. Yeah, you can see that this can become quite the mess. And also, if you don't end up having any plain pieces when it's off your palette. So I'm probably going to have to come back in here with paint and paint into some of this, but that's totally okay. So basically trying to get rid of that edge, that cut edge that's there. I want that so far out of my picture. Like some of this is going to go in the garbage. This is very thick. I find doing this is a little harder than actually collage with paper. And it's probably because everything is so patterny. So this one's really kind of interesting. Kind of picks up on that. Okay, I think I'm going to put that one down. So this is the back side, and again, it's very, very interesting. Interesting, but maybe not quite right. Some almost see-through there. That's kind of cool. Okay, I am not committing to this one quite yet. Let's put it off there, but I think I will put this one down. It's interesting because you can see the orange coming through it. So working mat is always a handy thing to have to just go back and check how things are looking. So I'd like to leave maybe a smidgen of orange down there, or glue something orange on top of it. And that little bit of orange, if I was to mount this, my eye would probably get drawn over there, so I'm going to cover that up. This little piece should do the trick. So this is looking a little bit milky right now just because it's wet with the matte medium and the sky is dominant, but I think I will come in with just some paint when this is dry and paint the sky but leave a little bit of orange outline on the mountainous area there. So leave that one for the moment and come and see. So I've introduced some teal up there, so I need to put a little bit more, and I want to fill in my corners of orange a little bit better. So let's see what I have. This is an interesting piece. It's made with glass bead gel, so it has some glassy texture on, kind of like that too. Okay, well, it wasn't what I was thinking, but I do like that hole to let that orange peek through. So I'm just going to go for it, right or wrong. And I'm feeling like I could use a little bit of dark, this reddy color pulled off onto this side. Here's some more from that palette. as I'm looking at that back and forth, I think I will put something on that side too. Okay, this is quite a bump in it. Oh, I see, the bump is underneath on my white. Yeah, I think it needs the red, so and if you don't like something, you can always put another piece over it. This will get pretty thick, but I think it'll be fine. It's kind of a nice juicy piece. It's a different color, but let's see if it works. So we have two, burgundy down here, or this kind of mauvey. I don't know, that's just kind of interesting. What's on the back? Okay, it's more of a flat mauvey piece. Kind of like what's happening in here. That little bit of yellow there is interesting too. I think I'll glue that in. I'm going to try and pull that down over the corner there. So see if I can add it somewhere else. It's got lots of glue on it. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to find something for down here. Or in there. Kind of liking this piece. Maybe I can use it to soften the edge over here. Kind of feels rocky. My intention is to try and cover that corner, which I keep avoiding. I like that, but it feels a little bit too much the same, so I think it's better down here. Yeah. That brings your eye down and around. So something a little calmer for in this corner. That one's probably okay. So I'm going to trim off the edges here. So ideally, I'll let this dry and then put it in under a stack of books or something to really get, make sure it's well glued down. And then I can come back in and work on it. And I definitely put a few more coats of medium over top of it just to seal it in. Not sure if I'm loving this square up there, so I think I'll just redesign it. Somehow it's not feeling organic enough. So should I break my horizon line? Or should I add this somewhere further down? Yeah, I think I'll just go with it here. And then I have a couple of other bits. Kind of like that in there. Oops. Doing collage isn't for people who don't like getting their hands dirty, because it is definitely a messy game. So there, I think that's pretty interesting. I think I'll leave it like that, let it dry, and then paint the sky in, leaving a little bit of orange in the horizon. So I'll set that aside so I don't keep working on it, and go back and revisit this one. This one has less layers. It's pretty fresh feeling. Has some different variations on the balance, and look at my fingers. I got all that orange paint on there, my goodness. Yeah, so balance-wise, it feels like it needs more orange on the left side here. So let me see what I can find. It feels different. A little more orange. It's a little peach. Let's see if I get something that's really more orange here. Can I rip it? And the back is pretty interesting too, but not what I want. So this really is a process, and you're really developing your eye, and there's many options, but it's when you do something, it leads to something else. So what I'm trying to decide is whether I want to go horizontal here, bringing my eye back in and having a bit of an overlap there. Or if I want to go vertical with that piece and have the orange on the edge. I think that's more interesting. So I'm going to go with that. So I have enough of these skins to do a huge series, and I have done a series in the past of small 4x4s, very abstract, with the skins, painting on a black background, which was very interesting because the colors really popped out. So I'm going to trim this up. So I'm going to let this dry as well, and then come back in and paint the sky and maybe add a little bit of line work with another media. We'll see where it goes. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over here just so I can preserve a little bit of orange line nice and straight in the horizon. Well, it doesn't look straight. So I'm mixing up some blue, and I've just got titanium white and a little bit of what is fairly close to cobalt. On the bottle it's called primary blue. I'm just going to come in, and I think I want it a little bit lighter and a little bit grayer, so see if I have a little bit of orange out here still. So the opposite is going to gray it down. That's better. Not really liking what the brush is doing. I'll try the scraper. I want to leave some of the orange peeking through, so I don't want it so opaque that there's not that reference of the under color. Okay, and then I'm going to take this off. Got a little bit of bleed through. It's almost like my line, I think, is a bit on the large side. So let's go freehand. Okay. So I think I'll leave that one for now. And take a look here at this one. It is pretty dynamic with an orange sky there. maybe instead of blue on this one, I will go kind of a peachy color. Okay, let's look at that. Yeah, I kind of like the reference of the orange in this one. So this one, I think I'm going to have to push my sky maybe a little more teal. Again, that's pretty bright. So adding a little bit of the opposite to it. So this is a little more towards green. I think that reads a little better with the horizon line. It's a little warmer. So 2 starts, 2 different finishes. And next I will seal them with a few coats of medium just so that they look finished on the surface. And you know, I may mount them on a cradle panel, or they'll just end up piled up in my drawer without all the other paintings on paper. So I hope you enjoyed that. Leave any comments. Let me know if you work with acrylic skins yourself. And yeah, love to see what you do.